Hey guys, you know, all this information trickle down. I always give credit to God, to the maker of the universe, right? Because I'm created, not a creator, you know. And I believe knowledge trickled down from God to you, even though at one point I said something before where God says, "No, this is not me, that's you." So God giving me credit for something, I've said. And He says, "This is not me, that's you." So, but I believe when things reveal itself to you, God showing you things and is for you to see it the way for God have intended for you to see it. And so yeah, so a lot of information trickled down to you from God, and I'm very grateful God is supporting me. And being in God's side, right side, is a good thing. You understand? But you don't want to be in His bad side. So that's what you have to understand. The enemy wants you to be in a bad side. That why you always stay prayed. And I'm gonna teach you something about how to automatically transfer, but you have to set an intention. How to transfer all negative thoughts, intentions against God, against anyone else, to the person irresponsible for it. Because we know what they do is they intercept your dreams, intercept your beings, and they possess you and do stuff like that. And these possessions are very strong, but you have to be stronger. And they always trying to, turn you against God. And every time you have a negative thought about God, anyone else, okay? And you say these words, okay? These words automatically transfer or no cancels out the negative thought, okay? And but part of from this you have to say after you say these words, you have to say transfer these negative thoughts or projections or intention of the enemy of having thought negatively about God, of the maker of the universe, or anyone else, to the source of these negative thoughts, of these negative thoughts. Okay? Ye say these words: Astaghfirullah, Astaghfirullah. Okay? So whatever intention is projected on you, and you projecting it out, because sometimes you negatively talk. I negatively talk about. I talk to my, internally. I negatively talk into all these negative projections, and so because I know they're not my thoughts, they're not mine. Why would I think negatively about God? Why would I think of negatively about somebody else? Because that's what they do. They project all those things because they want you to, okay, negative thoughts and projections counts against you. You know that, right? It counts against you. If you surrender to it, you have to say, Astaghfirullah. When you think about negative thought about anyone or God, especially God, it's you always have to say these words, and you have to say, I transfer all this projection, negative thoughts and negative talks and intentions to the source of its creator, or the person who projected it. So usually witches, wizards, warlock, because they possess You know what? How they come into your vessel? They come in through the because okay, there is uh, animal self, which is the beast self. The beast self is comes from your root chakra. You know, the serpents comes from the root chakra. So the serpent is a beast. It's a kundalini, whatnot. So these people come in through the beast in your body because everybody, humanity, everybody has a beast, you know, and um, in the Golden Compass, the movie The Golden Compass, watch it. They call it Damien or Damien. So, and that Damien is a shapeshifter who shapeshift to different animals. Okay, but then when you reach puberty, the last shape that takes, that what stays. So, for example, it shapeshifts from animal to animal when you are a child. When you reach puberty, and in whatever shape shift that animal that last like that shape shifted the last time too, that's the shape that what your Damien or Damien stays at. Watch the Golden Compass. You understand that what they're telling you, that they're telling you that's because it shapeshift because you're pure. Kids are pure, so it shapeshift to a lot of animals. Okay, and so anyhow, you say husband, oh, and you also after you finish this, you have to say Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil 7 times. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. Against all who interception my dreams, against all who projected negative thoughts, against all who cursed me, against all who manipulated me energetically, against all who made me sick, and against all who attack me through radiation, against all who harm me. Just sum it. Sum it, you can sum it this way: against all who harm me, okay? Or have an intent to harm me, okay? And yeah, that's how you do it, you know? The enemy thinking they're crafty. You have to be smarter, you know? They have to. I'm telling you why it's done. Why they're projecting all these negative thoughts on you, because it counts against you if you accept it. If you continue to project these thoughts negative, because okay, they're projecting to you and you project it out into the universe. You basically you're cursing yourself, you know, because you're negatively talking. So I always say astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. You know, I understand. So you have to say astaghfirullah, okay? That automatically erase this negative projection of thoughts. But you have to hold that person accountable, the one who projected it. You have to do that. But automatically in the universe, that happens because God is, you know, created the laws. Cause and effect is a law, universal law. Understand? So, yeah. So the enemies are not that smart because they, you know, you have to know what to say, what action needs to be taken and whatnot to help you. You know what I mean? Because they are doing it to harm you. You understand? And you have to offset it by saying these things, with these words I just mentioned, and to hold those people accountable, which is not that powerful. They're deceitful. They are Satans, the one who whisper in your ear, telling you things. That what they do, you know. They are, you know, they are not that powerful. You know, do not give them that power over you. They're not that powerful. They're wicked, they're demonic, and they're going to be punished. I'm just telling you. I'm 100% sure in my gut, you know, I feel it in my core that they're going to be punished severely, you know. because anybody who goes against God, against the infinite, um, yesterday I went to the mosque and I heard verses about hell, okay, uh, or Tartarus or Hades or whatnot. God talks about it. God talks about it. He says you enter hell. If you were to enter hell, is forever. You understand? When God says when you enter have hell is forever. No, they've been saying that doesn't exist and it's a fairy tale and it's lies and whatever. I can assure you 100% hell is a place, an actually factual place. It's not something is out of our imagination. Doesn't exist what people are saying on YouTube or TikTok, whatever. This is what these people are getting paid to do, to deceive, to tell you hell, it does not exist. Jahannam. They're telling people it doesn't exist, it's not real, and it's mistranslation and stuff. No, Holy Quran is the book. Holy Quran is the book that correct all the books that existed before it, right? The Zabur, the Torah, and the Bible or whatnot, and yeah, so it corrects a lot of these books that have been altered intentionally by Satan. Okay, because that's what he does. He likes to ruin things. He's a ruiner. You understand? So, but God protected this whole Quran, and it's factual. Okay, why the other three books before whole Quran said the same thing? And these people are saying online they've been told not to believe in God, especially atheists. Atheists are worst. But there is hope. There's hope for people who are accepting, who will accept, God intervention. But some people there's no hope for them because they're very quite adamant that hell does not exist and it's a lie. Why would you believe a book, blah, 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 and written by a man, whatever, because they're trying to persuade you, to lead you astray, to make you feel like you are actually following the false book, or it's not a book. Is a word of God, is a law. You understand? So when people say it's a book written by a man, no, it's not a book written by a man. A man can never write that book. You understand? No man can write this kind of book, okay? So because some verses, not a lot of verses in the Holy Quran, it talks about specific things. No man knows about these things. Only God knows. So these books is a word of God, coming from God. There's no way a man could be that, knowledgeable, creative enough to write a book like that. You understand? They can alter what God already have written. That's what they did for the books before it. They altered what God have written to deceive. Why you think they translated in Greek and Roman and Latin and whatever? Because they embed all these words in it to change the meaning. Why would the name Isa change to Jesus? There's no an I and J. How is that possible, right? So it makes sense because they're putting Jesus is Satan. The word Jesus is Satan. Okay? That's not the same being. You understand? Anyhow, that's what they do. They do like to deceive, and they like to hoard information and all of that. All of that is going to go away, you know? Align yourself with the maker of the universe. Align yourself for what's right, what resonates with you, and what makes sense to you. You know, the infinite or God, you know, it makes sense to me. So from someone trying to tell me is I should not be following, it's not gonna happen. Not in a million years. Because it just resonate with me, you know. It's I know it's right. I know God is, God exists and God is right. And so, for a person trying to persuade me and lead me straight, telling me like, "Oh yeah, we made up." Yeah, they made the word God. The word God is Godriel. It's not. It's not the maker of the universe. Godriel is not God. Okay, Godriel is not God. When you have to, hide the word God in a false name, then that's not God. Why you have to hide God? You understand? In a word. You understand? Or change a word to say is Jesus and Isa are the same. They're not the same. Okay. But anyhow, that's what I guess I wanted to say these words every time you think negatively about someone or God or anybody. Say astaghfirullah, okay? And then you say hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. Anybody who projects on anybody who projects negative thoughts, intentions, magic, witchcraft, all who project on negative things in order to lead me astray or to control me or to manipulate me, to bring these people to high court of heaven for judgments, to make them pay sevenfold, tenfold, whatever suits you, whatever makes you happy. Okay, whatever you think that person deserves. Okay, because yeah, they're gonna get it. They're gonna get it, and they're gonna be destroyed. And these people, they thinking they're above God. You'll find out. You'll find out what you have done, and you continue to do to people. Yeah, it's gonna come out with consequences. It's gonna come. Yeah. So anyhow, continue, and you'll find out when God throw the book on your head. Okay, the book of law is going to be thrown in your gut, in your head. Okay, because you're refusing to accept the law that God have written. You're refusing to accept what God have considered a law. You want to break the law and you want to do people wrong, and you think it doesn't come with the consequences. Hell is real.